What's up guys, Readiness Reviews here with you again. In this video, we're going to show you how we went from this absolutely disgusting Cosmoline soaked broken wood to this quite handsome, properly oil finished and pretty No.1 Mk.III Lee-Enfield rifle stock wood. This video will be kicking off our series on the restoration of a No.1 Mk.III Lee-Enfield musket from Ishapore, India, using a drill purpose No.1 Enfield stock, also from India. As the title suggests, we're going to be tackling the wood in this video. Before we continue, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you like firearms restoration videos on my channel. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see all future firearms restoration videos. So let's roll our sleeves up and get to work. All right, so we got to get these rifles apart to see what we're actually working with here. Now we're going to look at our musket first. This rifle is thoroughly trashed. I doubt there's going to be very many parts that we can salvage, but we're going to take a look at it and see. This front handguard is pretty sad. Of course, it's completely broken in half, and where that break was at, it's all splintered and everything. The metal end cap is all rusted up, so that piece certainly needs to be replaced. This forestock, although very dirty and greasy, doesn't actually look all that bad besides this massive crack in it. Oddly enough, I think this could be restored and repaired and reused on another rifle in the future. So I'm certainly going to hold on to that. This is not an inexpensive part to replace. The buttstock seems to be serviceable, but I'm going to go ahead and replace it along with the forestock just so everything matches aesthetically. We'll need to do the same here with the DP rifle. Take it down completely. This is the one that we're dealing with all that Cosmoline. There is a lot of rust and corrosion going on next to the wood line on this DP rifle as well. Look at all that crusty rust mixed with goopy Cosmoline. The upper handguard is intact, but it's cracked itself. So that's something that we'll have to do our best to fix. Look at that layer of Cosmoline on that. What's that, like a 1/16 of an inch or something? Oh boy, we certainly have our work cut out for us. Still have to get the buttstock off. I've done that in a previous video, so if you want to see how to do that, you can check this other video and I'll post it right here. I'm actually getting to the point where I can have a Lee-Enfield restoration playlist. I've done Cosmoline removal every way you can think of. I've done the wrapping in trash bags and sitting in the sun method. I've baked it in the oven. I've used various chemicals, including mineral spirits and stuff like that. The one way I've found that is the least fuss and easiest to do is oven cleaner. Now that stuff is caustic. It will corrode metals. You have to be careful what you use it on, and it will take off all the finish. So if you have a historically relevant firearm that you're worried about conserving, you never want to touch it with this stuff. But for something that you don't really care about, like this DP rifle, it is perfect for getting all the grime off and getting you down to nice clean wood that you can then put a proper oil finish on. So we're going to take this outside and spray it with some of that Easy Off oven cleaner I was talking about. All right, so here's that Easy Off oven cleaner I was talking about. Now this stuff is extremely caustic and dangerous if you get it on your skin or in your eyes. You want to make sure that you take extreme precaution using this stuff if you decide to, and make sure you're wearing gloves and eye protection. Now I'm not going to be wearing gloves for this video. That's because I'm fresh out, so I'm going to be extra cautious and make sure not to get it on myself because it will burn your skin from the lye that it contains. I expect this to take at least 2 cycles to get all this off. We're going to go on with 1 coat. This stuff works extremely fast. Put it on kind of thick. It'll loosen up and eat away all that Cosmoline and any other oils that is soaked into the wood. I would totally expect it to remove this paint on the stock, indicating that it was DP. Get all the outside and all the inside. So I have the first coat on there, and you can see where the white foam is turning brown, and that's where it's raising up all the oils out of the wood to the surface. Once I get it thoroughly coated the way that it is now, I let it sit for about 10 minutes or so. Unfortunately, I failed to press play on the camera for the rinsing off of coat number 1. As you can clearly see, those DP markings did wash right off after the first coat, and already the color of the wood is far lighter and virtually all the finish is being removed. Now I am going to need a second coat on this. In the corners it's still quite sticky, and there are still spots of Cosmoline on it. Let's get coat number 2 on this. In my experience, 1 can of Easy Off is enough to do 3 or 4 guns completely coated in Cosmoline, and these come in at about $8 to $10 usually. So instead of the Cosmoline removal process taking you several hours and tons of elbow grease, you can get it done fairly effortlessly with this Easy Off. But remember, I certainly do not recommend this method for firearms of significant historical relevance because it completely destroys any original finish that that firearm possessed. Now, we have used a very caustic solvent on this wood, so it is very important to neutralize that chemical reaction completely so it doesn't continue eating away at the wood or metal that will soon be on the wood in the coming years. Initially, we're just going to spray it all off. You're going to use way more water than you think you should. You want to spray it and then spray it again and then spray it some more. You just want to keep washing that away and get all of that lye out of the wood grain. Look how dirty that water is coming off of it. It's all brown. Where years of oil and dirt, I'm sure wood stain and all other kinds of other stuff, everything's just coming out of the wood. We'll turn up the power on this a little bit and see if we can spray off some of that paint. It's blasting it right off, no problem. Once we get it all rinsed off, we gotta take it back inside. Just when you think the washing and rinsing is over, you're actually just getting started because now the real tedious work is upon us. So we get our water on the tap, as hot as it'll go. You wanna use warm water because it just helps break down the rest of that Cosmoline easier than cool water does. We're gonna go over every single inch of this stock with Dawn dish detergent. This not only helps take off any residual Cosmoline that may be in the stock, but it also helps neutralize that oven cleaner like I was talking about. You do not want to skip this step. Even if you use the oven cleaner and it comes out spotlessly clean and you don't have any little spots of Cosmoline left like this stock does, you do not want to skip this step because this is very important for the longevity of the wood itself. Getting the inside of the stock is even more important than the outside because this is the part that's going to be in contact with the metal, and the last thing that you want is some lye hiding out in the wood because all that'll lead to is rust under the wood line, and we want to preserve these guns, not ruin them. So here's a look at our product after cleaning and degreasing. It almost looks like it's wood fresh off the lathe. So much lighter than it was before. Now when we go to refinish this, it's going to darken up again because this is just dark wood by nature. It is still slightly damp, but we can see there's some variance in the color of the wood used on the stock. A couple pieces are a little darker than the forestock, and I'm curious to see how that'll all come out in our finished product. Now you would think with all the cleaning that we've been doing that we would be done with that, but unfortunately we're not so lucky. Now we get the pleasure of going through this in every nook and cranny and scraping out any leftover Cosmoline, dirt, or rust left behind from cleaning, because no matter how much you scrub, you're never going to be able to get all the stuff in the corners. Look at that. See that? We want to get rid of that all over the whole stock. The only place we really have to worry about this at is on the inside. The outside cleans up a lot easier with a brush. The inside needs a little extra work though. We're paying close attention not to get down into the wood on this. We're only trying to scrape off the grime on the outside. We don't want to remove wood. That would be bad. That's why I'm not using a chisel. I'm using a small flathead screwdriver. I also have various other tools, scraping tools, picks. I have some that are made of nylon. I have some that are made of steel, and all that stuff is really great for different areas we're trying to get into. And I might resort to using some of that stuff once I'm done with this, but I'm going to try to get as much as I can with the screwdriver first. We can see in some places there is some stuck on oxide from where the metal on top of it was rusting. There's a good deal in this portion. Kind of satisfying to watch the junk just be scraped away like that, but this is a very slow and tedious process, but at the same time a necessary one if you want a properly conserved finished product. Now we're all clean and everything's dry. Now's when we actually start with our new finish. I'm the only person that I've ever seen do this specifically, but I'm sure there's somebody else out there that has the same kind of idea. What I like to do is give the inside of the stock, all the portions of wood that are up against metal, a good coating of ballistol. Ballistol is one of the most useful products in firearms maintenance and restoration that is available on the market. It literally does it all. You can actually finish a complete rifle stock in this if you so wish. It's great for cleaning both wood and metal. Now I'm not going to put any on the outside of the wood. I'm only going to ballistol the inside of the wood. So I want to put a layer of protection between the wood and the metal. Whether or not it actually does anything, I don't know. but it certainly makes me feel better. So I squeeze down a healthy amount here. This is going to take quite a bit of ballistol to do the whole thing, and I apply that with a toothbrush. This has the benefit of cleaning off any additional residue that was in there, and you can see where it's darkening the wood. The smell of ballistol is not nice at all. It has a very unique, powerful aroma that a lot of people do not like, me among them, but it is a necessary evil if you want to use one of the best firearms cleaning and maintenance products on the market today. And just like that, the way that the color of this portion has now changed from the color of this portion, I'm going to go through the whole stock channel and any other portion of the stock that comes into direct contact with the metal itself to put a protective base layer between the wood and the metal. It also prevents the wood on the inside of the stock from being so completely dry. Now, when we first looked at this, I pointed out that there was a pretty severe crack on this tooth portion of the top handguard. While I was cleaning, no surprise to me, it completely broke off, which is fine. I was probably going to break it off anyway so we could actually fix it. You can see where there is a brass strengthening screw that was put through this fairly thin wood, but that didn't stop it from breaking at the weak point of that corner piece right there. We are definitely going to have to repair this. For repairs of this nature, my go-to is Acraglas by Brownells. It's not going to take much of this. I usually always end up mixing more than I need. There's both gel and liquid Acraglas. I have both, but I think the gel does a little better for repairs of this nature. We mix roughly equal parts like you would an epoxy. You can't really overmix this. You want to mix it, and then you want to mix it some more. When you're in the mixing stage, that's when you add your dye. I'm going to add just a little drop of black dye to this. That should be more than enough. Now, I wasn't kidding about you can't overmix this. I mean, just like you want to keep on mixing it. You have about 15 minutes to work with this stuff before it begins hardening and you really can't do much else with it. Then that's about as mixed as I'm going to get it. I didn't make very much, but it should be just enough. We apply it to the areas of our crack. I'm paying close attention to that screw. That'll be a good spot for a mechanical bond. So I definitely want to get plenty of Acraglas up and around that screw because that'll help the repair be far more strong. This break in the wood runs a fair length down the handguard. It kind of tapers off to a small point. All right, we have that portion liberally coated. Now I'm going to do the same to the top part, the piece that actually broke off. I'm not going to try to go as thick on this one, but I do want to fill all its cracks with Acraglas, especially the portion that that screw recesses into, the same as we did on the other part. If you missed any small spots, no big deal. When we clamp this down, it's going to squeeze it all together. Anyway, we'll do our best to line these up here. Oh yeah, that's going to fit back in just perfect. I have a piece of paper towel here that I've dampened with some vinegar. That's what's recommended for cleaning Acraglas, and I'm going to wipe away some of this excess. Now that that little extra is cleaned up, this is ready for clamping. We're going to have some more squeeze out probably. We'll take care of that in a minute. We got that clamped very tight, and you can see where there's a little line of Acraglas that beat it up there. So we're going to go back in there with our vinegar cloth and wipe that away. We're also going to have some squeeze out on the inside, but I'm going to clean that up with a chisel once this dries. The only part you'll really be seeing is this on the outside. So that's the part that I'm worried about aesthetically. And since this is taking up my workspace, I guess that's it for today. I'm going to pick it right back up tomorrow. So it's been clamped overnight. Let's pull this clamp off and see how that Acraglas set. Feels nice and firm so far. So there's our glue joint. It looks pretty good once we actually get a finish on this stock. It should blend fairly nice. Now there was a piece of wood missing where the screw is, and so that's all black Acraglas filling the hole there. There's really not much I could do about that since there was a little bit of wood actually missing. Now the underneath of this, we have our bleed out from this side, and I didn't worry about wiping that off because we're gonna knock this off right quick with a chisel. I'm using my smallest chisel here, and it's also my sharpest chisel. This Acraglas should come off fairly easily. We just follow the wood line and take it off in chunks like that. Just taking it slow and being careful not to take off any additional wood. We're just trying to target the Acraglas only. After we get most of the excess Acraglas cut off with a chisel, I'm going to go over that joint with a radius file just to smooth everything down a little bit. Now that we have the wood degreased, cleaned, repaired, and our parts that go up against metal ballistoled, it's time to actually start thinking about what kind of finish we're going to do on this. So on this handguard piece, I did a little test run here of boiled linseed oil to give me an idea of what the stock would look like if I just oil finished it. Now this handguard and the lower wood match almost identically. The buttstock is a little bit darker darker, it seems. But all this wood looks like walnut or something akin to walnut to me, without putting any kind of stain on it or anything, just putting boiled linseed oil on it, one coat. That's about as dark as it's looking like it's gonna be, which is perfectly fine with me. I think that's what we're gonna do with this, just boiled linseed oil. Now, normally I just do a couple coats. We're probably gonna do a bunch of coats on this because I want it to look nice. I've considered doing true oil, which I've done before, and true oil gives a very nice finish. I thought about doing tung oil. That'll give you a little bit more of a shiny finish than just straight boiled linseed oil does, which also looks really nice, but it's always hard for me to say no to some good old BLO. So we're gonna go boiled linseed oil on this, and I think we're ready for the first coat here. So I have my Sunnyside boiled linseed oil here. This is the same can I've been using ever since I started making YouTube videos. This could not be easier to apply. We're just gonna do it with our bare hands. I used to use cloths, but over the past couple years, I've come to the realization that that's really just a waste, and it's better just to put it on your hands and put it straight on the wood, so that's what we're gonna do. So get a couple big glugs on the palm of my hand there, and we'll just start palming it on. You wanna really put it on thick this first go around. Look how pretty that is already. And we just kind of massage it in with our hands. You can't really put on too much. Unless you put some on, it doesn't soak in. It kind of pulls up and then starts drying. Then you'll get a sticky mess, very similar to what Cosmoline does. And we certainly don't want to go through that again. So we're basically just trying to get all of the wood saturated with the oil. Look at that Arsenal stock repair on the toe there. It's a completely different kind of wood, but I think that kind of thing adds character to the rifle, so no complaints here. That's pretty good on the buttstock. Let's do the same to our forestock here. You can really see how much lighter these two woods are now that we're putting the oil on it. It's still going to be good looking even if it's not a perfect match. And this is really just the start. You know, this is our first coat. I intend to do 6, 8, 10 coats, something like that on this particular stock. You can do a coat as soon as every 8 to 10 hours if you really want to. But if I'm not in a rush, I'll just do 1 or 2 per day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening to get it to the desired finish level in the span of about a week or so. A little bit of walnut stain on this would have probably made the whole rifle match in wood color, but I don't really see the point in doing that. I think it's gonna look just fine the way that it is. Well, that's basically it for the wood. We repeat that coat after coat until we get it looking exactly the way we want it to. We did all this without touching a piece of sandpaper, and that's a good thing in my opinion. All the dimensions of the wood are exactly the way they should be. We didn't mess with any of that to make it look fresh and clean and new the way that it does. I guess the next video you'll be seeing on this rifle will be the metal components, so stay tuned for that. And then when this whole project is complete, I'm gonna edit it all together into one master video, so it'll be its own standalone project. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, don't forget to reach me down in the comment section of this video. I would love to know some of your experiences in wood maintenance and refinishing. Don't forget to sub to the channel for all future content, especially if you want to see the rest of this restoration. Thanks again for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next video. See you then. Peace.